Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday. Are you ready for Halloween? We are going to have a spider extravaganza today, or if you prefer, a spider palooza. I have some really big spiders. These are my spider queens, and actually, we call the kit Queenie the spider, and she is big and beautiful. I have some fly spiders that change colors for you. And we have some jack-o'-lantern spiders, as well as owl spiders. Oops, and owls fly. This guy just wanted to fly so badly. So anyway, we have a lot of spiders. And so the good thing about this is that whether you make a big beautiful queen spider or one of the smaller spiders, it's all the same technique. I was actually going to do some tiny spiders, but then I decided, wait a minute, we're going to make our tiny spiders into earrings. And because I'm using a slightly different technique here, I am going to save it for next week, but we'll talk a little bit more about this as we do our previews. But in the meantime, we have some spiders to make, and of course, we want to say hello.
Ellen says hi, Rena and everyone, and sends a heart.
Hi, Ellen. Thank you so much. Sending you a heart right now.
Fonda says good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hello, Fonda, and happy Thursday, my friend.
Jeline says hello.
Hi, Jeline.
And Fonda says, I love these spiders.
Thank you so much. They just kind of keep changing from year to year, and I'm so glad you're enjoying my little arachnid friends.
Karen says good evening, everyone.
Hi, Karen. Good evening. Okay, ladies, I'm so glad you joined me today, and I'm hoping that a few more friends will join us for this event. So you probably know, if you've been watching me for a few years, you know I've been making spiders for many years now, and it sounds really crazy, but my various spider kits are actually my most popular kit series of all times. And I have to say, I do enjoy creating them. I started creating them when I became aware of the Christmas spider story. See, these are dancing. So I first started making them just for Christmas, and then I said, wait a minute, why are we not making spiders for Halloween? I mean, isn't it kind of an obvious pairing? So for Christmas, we have a sweet, lovely spider story. But for Halloween, it's obvious there's no story whatsoever.
Allie says hi, cute spiders.
Thank you so much, Allie.
Ellen says stunning spiders.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you like my spiders. I'm turning them around so that you can see the themes of the spiders. They're all themed differently this year.
Katie S says happy Thursday all. I love those huge spiders.
Thank you so much, Katie. So I have to tell you, I'm really, really excited about my spiders today. So I'll show you the spiders from I think these are from the previous year. These, we've been making this particular kit for so long that we could not get the same beads anymore. So we had to reinvent them just a little bit. And I wanted to give you the good news. These were all sold out. But then we found a couple of new beads. So this one is new and this one is new. And I thought they really kind of fit into this kit. So this is the kit that we've been selling for years, but it keeps changing depending on the beads we are able to get. So this kit is also in the Etsy shop, but I want you to know that it's going to be linked to a different video because it's a slightly different pattern. And all of the other spiders that are in front of me today are going to, when you buy the kit, they're going to be linked to this video. So I hope that makes sense.
Trudy says hi, everyone.
Hi, Trudy, and I'm so glad you joined us today. Okay, ladies, so, oh, yes, yes. So, before we get started, so I want you to know that there's something really kind of special and unusual about one of these spider kits. I mean, they're all special and they're all unusual in their own unique ways, but there's one that is even more unusual. So it's actually kind of warm in this room. So my fly spiders, and yes, they actually have a fly on them because it's a spider that ate the fly, as they tend to do. But also, you know how fly also means really cool. So they're just that cool. All right, so, but wait, that's not what makes them really unusual. What really makes them kind of crazy fun is that they're color changing. They're made with mirage beads. I don't know if everybody is aware of mirage beads. I almost want to take one and just put him in, you know what, can you put him next to my bottle of water? We'll see if that works. I mean, it'd be great to put him in the fridge right now, but it's too far. But okay, so I just held this guy and look, can you guys see anything different? So already we have a little bit of a change just because my fingers happen to be so warm right now. So we have a little purple and we have a little green, but now it's changing to pink. Well, let's see. If I hold him some more, let's see what happens. Ooh, pretty, right? So all day long, you can keep watching this spider and he's just going to do this little chameleon thing. And check this out. So we have a vibrant green and teal. And if they get really warm, and I'm not talking about like in the oven warm, I'm talking about body heat warm, they turn purple, which is why one of them has purple highlights and the other has aqua highlights, because they go from yellow to green to teal to kind of royal blue, much like the legs, to a really vibrant purple. So I am really, really excited about these.
Allie says, oh, is it a mirage bead?
It is, Allie. It is indeed a mirage bead. So I think I'm going to get started. What do you guys think? We're ready to get started. Okay, so today I'm going to be making one of my little owl friends, and we're going to make this little green guy. Okay, so his body is an owl, so he's an owl spider. So I think I'm going to move everybody off my work surface, and we will just leave the green owl spider. And so if you do order the owl spider kit, you will get enough beads to make 3. And the 3, of course, are going to be the green, the orange, and the black, which actually has a little purple in it, but I don't think it really kind of reads as purple. It's mostly black. Okay, so we're going to get started on our little green arachnid. And when you open your kit, what you will find is some 20 gauge wire. And the 20 gauge wire is just for the body of the spider. And so what we're going to do is maybe just cut like 2 inches. All we need is about 2 inches of 20 gauge wire. And I don't remember exactly how long you are going to have your 20, actually I'll grab this one. I don't remember how much of the 20 gauge wire you're going to have, but you certainly you have enough for 3 spiders. So I have my segment of 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to need 4 segments of 22 gauge wire. So you're going to get the wire in bulk and just go ahead and pre-cut it into segments of 6.5 to 7 inches. I cut mine to about 6.5 inches, and you have plenty of wire, so don't worry. If you want 7 inches, that is completely okay too. I just don't like really, really long wire because sometimes it gets in the way a little bit. So my spider goes on to, oh, this is a slightly different spider. This is kind of an outlier because all the other spiders have
It's an owl.
I'm sorry, the owl. Yes, the owl. They have very defined eyes. This one is kind of a goofy one, I guess. Okay, so I think we're going to make a loop before we do anything else. And how you make your loops is entirely up to you. So you can make a little loop at his head, or a bigger loop, or a smaller loop at the bottom of his body. So however you're going to hang him, or however you're going to use this little spider is going to determine how big you make the loop. So you decide. I'm just going to make a loop starting with I made a 90-degree bend, and I'm starting with about 10 millimeters. So this is 10 millimeters, and it's going to give me a nice size loop, about 4 millimeters or so. And I am going to close it. So I made the loop with my round nose pliers, and now I'm using my flat nose pliers to close the loop. And now we're going to put the spider's head on the wire and also his body. And we're going to want a little gap between his head and his body. So I'm going to say about 4 millimeters or so. So the easiest thing for me to do is just hold with my flat nose pliers, just like that. And given that my flat nose pliers is about 4 millimeters right here at the very tip of the nose, and if I simply bend the wire just past the flat nose pliers, that gives me just enough of a gap to attach all the legs. So now I'm going to cut my wire again. So I made another 90-degree angle because I'm going to make another loop. And this time I'm making a smaller loop, so I only have about 6 millimeters, maybe 7 millimeters. Again, the size of the loop you can determine depending on how you're going to hang the spider. And so I started my loop, and I'm just going to give it a nice squeeze with my flat nose pliers. And really, that's all I need. So it needs to be large enough. You know what? I may not have made it large enough. No, it's just large enough. So I'm testing it. I'm just making certain that it does not go through the hole in the owl body, because it really would be a shame to lose it. So I am looking at this gap, and it seems to be a little bit too large. I feel like maybe I need to shorten the gap. And it doesn't, I guess we could have just gone with the same gap, but I really prefer a slightly smaller one. So not a problem. All I'm going to do is just very gently straighten the wire with my chain nose pliers, rebend it. I might just cut a little bit of it off or not. And we will remake the loop. So I shorten that gap by approximately 2 millimeters, and we're going to take a look at it, and I feel like now it is just right. This is the size gap I want. So this is about 4 millimeters. So as I mentioned, I already pre-cut my 22 gauge wire, and I have 4 segments of it right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to bend it in half. So each segment is about 6.5 to 7 inches. And I am just touching the ends of it because I'm trying to find the center. And this is the quickest way for me to find the center if I just fold it in half, just like this. So each one of these little segments of 22 gauge wire is going to make a pair of legs, and that is why we only need 4. So we are going to start with 1, and you see how that little spot where I bent it, it's straddling the space between the body and the head. And I am just going to start coiling what is going to become our legs. So as you can see, the spider does have a front and a back. So we're going to make sure that his face ends up where we can see it. So I had to give it a little squeeze just because we're working with half hard wire, which is really important for this type of a project, because we do want his arachnid legs to hold their shape really nicely. And I'm just straightening the wire a little bit, and this is what I have. So I just coiled, I think 3 times around that central wire. And if it doesn't look like there is enough for the other wires, don't worry about it, because it's okay. We can wrap right over the other wires. We can just do whatever we need to do. So starting the next set of legs, and again, all I'm going to do is just coil as tightly as I can. And it doesn't look like I need to use the pliers this time. And it's only really on the first one it's kind of important to give it a nice squeeze just to get it started. And then most likely the subsequent set of legs, you're just going to coil those in between the other coils, if that makes any sense. So now I have 4 legs. So this is a really good start. And we're going to attach one more. And what I'm really trying to do is distribute the legs so that they look somewhat even on both sides. They don't have to be perfect at this point because there's a lot we can do as we bead. In fact, we're not even going to do anything super special. It's just as we start to bead, it will kind of remedy itself as far as the spacing. Okay, so this one is a little bit stubborn, and I might just use, again, my chain nose pliers to get it a little bit more snug. So it's really nothing special. I'm just giving it a little bit of a squeeze and tightening that coil. So, and it's okay if your spider legs are still moving as you're beating them. I mean, you know, I'm not implying that they're going to move on their own, but they might just spin a little bit like this, and that's okay. Because if we want to get them to just stay in place, we can always use a little bit of glue. So this is our last set of legs. So as I was saying, every year I make the spiders just a little bit differently, but what I mean by that is literally just a pattern. But this year I am so excited. I'm really going to surprise you, not just this week, but also next week, because next week I'm doing something a little differently. And I guess you'll just have to join me to find out. But in the meantime, we are making our traditional, I guess, in terms of the construction, traditional Halloween spiders. Okay, so here we go. We have all of the legs. And they don't have to be perfect. And as you can see, one ended up just a little shorter, not a big deal. That is why we start out with a slightly longer length as far as the spider legs. And everything works out. We're planning to actually cut off quite a bit of those legs. Okay, so here is the pattern. We're going to grab some bugle beads. I have these lovely matte black bugle beads and some 4mm faceted beads. These are green and they're in this lovely color called jade. And of course, we need to have some orange seed beads. And these are 11-0. However, they're like really kind of crazy 11-0s because, I don't know if you guys can see, there are slightly varying shapes. So these are not the amazingly consistent Japanese beads. I'm actually not even sure where these beads are made, but there's some interesting inconsistencies in these beads, and I kind of use them to my advantage. I'm going to show you. So I don't know if you can see, but the slightly longer beads I used closer to that central wire. And why it made sense to me is that because a lot of them are a bit skinnier. So if you have some of those skinnier beads, go for those first when you are first starting the pattern. And also I like to curve the wire just very, very slightly. And this way, it's very easy for me to pick up beads. So we are going to pick up 3 of the orange beads, and then a bugle bead, and then we'll need 1 orange seed bead, and these are 11-0s, although, as I said, they may vary slightly. And then I have my 4mm bead, and another orange seed bead and another bugle bead. So, you know, it really is a pattern. It's really quite repetitive. And we're going to we're going to make all of the legs exactly the same, exactly the same pattern. So I just need one more bugle bead and another orange seed bead and one of the little faceted 4mm beads. I keep rolling it around because you guys know what I'm doing. I'm looking for the hole. That's what I'm doing.
Fonda says it looks like the spiders have little bows.
Oh, thank you. You mean like on their backs,
Yeah.
like here. Yeah, they kind of do. Have you ever seen spiders that are like really colorful? I know Tony is like, oh, he doesn't like spiders.
Tony's cringing.
Yeah, Tony's cringing a little bit. But have you seen those like black and yellow spiders? I think they're really quite harmless, but they're so pretty. And I think they have kind of a similar pattern. All right, ladies. So once you have beaded one of the legs, this is what we are going to do. And on these, you can actually do this somewhat assembly style. So if you're doing it assembly style, at this point, all we have to do is just bend the wire to a 90-degree angle right above the bead, and that's it. Let's do one more leg, shall we?
Ellie says they are a pretty orange color, and what a cool way to use the bugle beads.
Oh,
I have
thank
so
you.
many of them, and they usually sit in their container waiting for me to use them.
Oh, you know what? They all want to be little spiders for Halloween, or big spiders, anything really. Yeah, they're super fun. You know, this is probably the best use for bugle beads that I know. Although, you know, I just thought of something. Some people really like using bugle beads to make Christmas ornaments, but that involves stitching, and I'm not necessarily a stitching kind of girly. So I make spiders.
Karen says, growing up in Florida, we would have spider webs 6 feet up the ground. The spider would be as big as your hand.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, joy.
I know, I know. I think at least once in one of the videos, I have told the story about when we were in Australia, and right in our room, we had this spider that was, you know, like these guys. Okay, let me just show you. These guys are pretty tiny compared to the one we had in the room. And yeah, it was a bit of an adventure. But you know, we got through it. Even Tony did. Couple of nightmares, but you know. And then, of course, to add insult to injury, in the morning, the gardener said, "Oh yeah, only little old ladies are afraid of them." So, anyway, that was kind of the Reader's Digest version of my spider story. So, as you can see, even the shortest leg was long enough. So you don't have to stress about having enough wire. Okay, so what are we going to do with those legs? And I'm not going to do all the legs during the video because literally it's exactly the same as you can see. So let's just imagine we have made all of the legs. And what we're going to do is starting at about 1/2 inch or so, we're going to just hold gently, very delicately, with our round nose pliers. The reason I'm saying gently is because the thing is, if you don't hold gently, this is what happens. Let me just show you what happens. If you're holding on for dear life, you'll make a dent, and then eventually the wire will break along that dent. So we're not doing that. We are going to be very dainty. and hold on to our spider leg about 1/2 inch from the last bead, and we are going to make a little loop. And we're going to do the same with the next leg and with all of the remaining legs.
Kim K says, hi everyone, late but happy to be here.
Hi, Kim. I'm so glad you're here, and so is my friend. See, she's waving. She's saying, hello, Kim. So I get goofy. Yes, I do. And you know what? I enjoy making these. I'm having fun, you guys. I hope you have a lot of fun making these too.
Fonda says, I'm with Tony on the spiders. Ooh, LOL.
Oh, well, you know, it's okay. I mean, there's one critter that I'm not fond of. It's snakes, and I completely understand. But these are not scary spiders. I promise you, they're fun. They're blingy. They want to be your friends. So I am cutting off the excess wire on each of the legs. So where I cut the wire is just past where it becomes, or just before rather, not past, where it becomes straight. So all I want to keep is the rounded loop, but not the straight wire, if that makes sense. And now we are going to switch to our chain nose pliers. And when I'm trying to make a bunch of these kind of quickly, this is what I do. I give it just a little squeeze, and then I grab onto the loop, like inside the loop. Do you see what I'm doing? And I'm using my chain nose pliers to start the loop. So again, we'll just imagine that I am making a whole bunch of these. And so this is what I'll do with all 8 legs. I use my chain nose pliers and I start that loop. And I just flatten it, and then I switch to my flat nose pliers and continue to make a little spiral. And if you guys are new to spirals, you have a couple of choices. The choice number 1, which is my favorite choice, is get good at making spirals because they're really fun. And I have several videos that just show you how to make a good spiral. So just practice a little bit. They're really super, super easy. Or the other choice is, instead of little spirals, just make loops. Loops are acceptable too. Here, this guy right here, he has loops at the end of his legs, and he's okay. He doesn't mind. He accepts himself just as he is.
Allie says, yes, your tutorials are fun. I look forward to them every week.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much, my dear. That makes my day. It totally does. That you like my tutorials. You know, I mean, I'm making them for you guys, and I love it when you enjoy them.
Katie S says, I gave my bead spider to my grandson 2 years ago. He was 2.5 years old.
Aww.
He brought it back to me for repair because it lost one leg.
Aww. Well, you know why? Because he's probably playing with it so much. So you can probably just really consider it a really good compliment. Okay, guys, so once you are done with all 8 legs of the spider, this is what the spider is going to look like. Here, I'll show you. His body is, so okay, just to make sure, we know that magically the owl is now going to become a jack-o'-lantern. But whichever you pick. So this is what he's going to look like, or she. And so what we're going to do now is shape her lovely legs, because who doesn't love beautiful legs? Even spiders do. So we're going to give her some beautiful legs. And it's very easy. So first we're going to take her back legs and just bend them kind of around the body. Very simple. We're going to do the same thing with the front legs and bend them kind of towards the head a little bit like this. And then we're going to take the second pair, and so this is the second pair, the second closest to the head pair, and it's going to kind of like mirror the front legs, and the remaining pair is just going to mirror the back legs.
Katie says yes, he and his sister play with it a lot.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's definitely worth a repair. So I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay, so now we have a little spider that looks kind of flat, but we want him to look kind of like his friends. So he's going to be dimensional like this. And, you know, every once in a while you have to play with their legs a little bit. And so let's give him dimensions, or her. We're just going to give her a name, Sally the Spider. What do you think?
Kim K says it's the most adorable spider I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you so much. And I think it's adorable that, you know, like little kids just really bond with these. So I think it's so cute that your grandson was playing with it so much. Okay, just about done. So once we are happy with the shape of the spider, and what I like to, before I call it a day, what I like to do is I like to take his little spiral feet and just bend them up a little bit so that it looks like he's actually, or she, that's right, she's Sally the spider, and she can use her little spiral feet to stand on. Okay, ta-da, so much better. And lastly, and I don't remember which ones I glued, which ones I did not glue. Okay, so this one I did not glue. And in general, you know, I'm going to do a little cleanup right here. So in general, ladies, when you make these spiders, you really don't need to glue them. They just kind of hold their shape really well. But if you find that sometimes, you know, depending on how tightly you wrap them around that central wire, if you have a whole lot of this action going on and you're just not into that, you can use a little glue, and I'm going to use a little bit of the super new glue. And once we do that, those legs are just affixed in place and they're really not going to go anywhere. So really all it takes, and of course I always have a little piece of paper underneath just in case. So all it takes is just a little drop of super new glue, and that's it. Super new glue is not viscous. A little tiny drop goes a long way. And I'm just going to leave the owl spider alone, and in about a minute or two, the glue is set if you are using the super new glue. And that's it. It is just that simple. Okay, so what do you think? Was this easy? Give me the thumbs up if you thought this was really easy. Because next week, you guys, I'm going to build on this. You know, we're going to do more with spiders. But we're going to add a little extra component. And yes, I'm going to position them so that you can see which spiders they are. So I'll show you what we have in the Etsy shop. These are, I made a lot of new ones this year, so I may have to how do I do this? Do we have another one of these? Do you think you can grab me one of these?
Sure.
Yeah, like an
Sure.
extra one.
They also show up fine on the burlap too.
Oh, well then, you know what? Then let's just use the burlap. That's fine. Okay, so in the Eclectica Etsy shop, as of today, ladies, these are so new. A lot of them just, in fact, all of them I think just went up today.
It did.
So we have the owl spiders and the jack-o'-lantern spiders. Okay, and both of these are sets of 3. And of course, we have, see how now that they have been exposed to air in the same room, they're the same color. But let me, just for fun, I'm just going to put one down and hold one in my hand. And they change so quickly. Look at this. This is already changing. Can you guys see that it's purple? Let me know in the comments. Can you see, does the camera pick this up? Because, you know, I do find this incredibly exciting that they change color.
Karen says,
yeah, go ahead.
Karen says, I like the refresher tutorial. Cannot wait to see your new and improved version next week.
Oh, I have something so exciting, you guys. In fact, I will show you right now what I have for next week. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I will have more. This is just a quick glimpse. And I don't know if you can really see this. I think you can. I'm pretty sure the camera picks this up. Do you see how there are little black beads going around the hexagonal sugar skull bead? So I'm going to show you how to embellish your sugar skull beads and then make these earrings. And I'm also working on something extra, and I don't want to say what it is until I'm absolutely positive that it's going to work. So I guess we will all be surprised next week. Okay, guys, so then in addition to the owls, the fly spiders, and the jack-o'-lanterns, we have Queenie the spider. And I guess we'll put Queenie the spider right here. And I have 2 different versions of Queenie the spider. And here she is. We have a very elegant one. Ta-da! And she is the jet setter Queenie the spider because she's mostly black and silver. She's very elegant. And then of course we have a fun, colorful Halloween Queenie the spider. And I think I called her Pumpkin Patch.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, but wait, there's more. As I mentioned, we updated the set of 5 spiders from last year, and this is what they look like.
Oh, Fonda's wondering, did you say how long the legs should be for the big spiders?
Oh, you know what? Let me do this. You're so awesome, Fonda. Thank you so much. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just point out a few things about every one of the spiders in front of me.
Betty says, I think I'll make the spider for Christmas ornaments for my family this year and give them each a copy of the Christmas spider story with it.
I think that is a lovely way to give a handmade gift. I think the story is so cute, and that's why I tell it every year, have been for so many years now. And I think it's a wonderful way to, to make something unique for your family. And I think the story is, it just makes it that much more special.
Karen says, very regal looking spiders.
Thank you so much. So let's start with these. So this is literally the same exact pattern, except for obviously we're sizing everything up. So the wire gauges are going to be a little different. So for the body, we are using 16 gauge wire. And for the legs, we're using 20 gauge wire because, you know, we need a little extra oomph as far as the wire gauges. Otherwise, the only difference in the pattern is that instead of starting out with 3 seed beads right here, I kind of wanted to go a little bit wider to give it a little more length. So there's 6 seed beads right here before we start the other bead pattern. And of course, these long bicones are in place of the bugle beads. So if you look at it, the pattern is exactly the same. And so we have a 4 millimeter bead, then a seed bead, and you know, this would have been the bugle bead, and then we just continue in the same way. And then when we get all the way to the end of the leg, we have a larger round bead. So this guy is the round bead, and then we make our little spiral. Okay, so once you take out your beads, it'll be so very, very intuitive. And then when it comes to the pumpkin patch version, the only thing that's different, so we still have the same 6 seed beads right here. And the only thing that's different is that instead of the round bead at the bottom, we have a larger rondelle. So we have those little orange rondelles, and then we have the darker orange rondelle, which I love that color. It's like a vibrant pumpkin color. And that is really it. And as far as the, of course, I have shaped it already, so it would have been a little larger before I shaped it, but just to give us a little bit of an idea, we'll go, you know what, we'll just have to play with the legs, and we'll make them as long as they will go. So the leg span is 7 inches exactly. That's what I got. So if you go with my very same pattern, you will get 7-inch leg span. And so that is the Queenie, the spider. And as far as the jack-o'-lanterns, so these are literally the same pattern as the owl spiders, except that I'm using the white because, you know, it's that very classic Halloween colorway, black, white, and orange. You know, we love those colors on Halloween. And so I wanted to go with that. And the only slight difference is going to be that because the white, we're using 8/0 seed beads. When you get to the end of the leg, you will just have to finish each leg by itself. So in other words, you can't make that 90-degree angle because the seed bead will fall off because it has a slightly larger hole. So that's really the only difference. And the fly spiders are exactly the same pattern with the substitution of the bicone instead of the round. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. And I believe that covers it all. And again, for my 5-set spider set, the one that we have remixed a little bit, you are going to get a link to the other video. So if there's anything different about these, you'll just see them in the older video.
Katie has a good question. She says, for 7-inch legs, about how much more wire would you add to the 14 inches for the wrap and coils?
Oh, thank you so much. You're awesome. So 7-inch legs, I would cut the wire to 11 inches. And it's not that you really need 11 inches, but it's nice to have a little extra wire because, you know what, 10 inches. We'll just say 10 inches. Because it's nice to have a little extra wire because you are coiling over the coils right here in the center. So we're going to start with 10 inches. Plus also then we're sure to have enough for the spirals. So that was a really great question. Thank you so much for asking. And all the other ones, all of this size spiders, you can cut the wire to 6.5 or 7 inches.
Okay, so just to clarify, Katie said for 7-inch legs.
Yep.
About how much more wire would you add to the 14 inches for the wrap and coils? So I think she's talking about a 14-inch piece entirely that you bend in half for 7-inch legs on either side.
So the legs are not 7 inches. Each leg is not 7 inches. It's the leg span.
I see.
Is
Okay, she
7
said,
inches.
oops, they were 7 inches together.
Yes, exactly. So the legs are 7 inches. So if you cut the wire to 10 inches per 2 legs, you will have enough wire.
Perfecto.
Or the other thing you can do is, here's the thought. I don't actually remember exactly how much wire we give you for the really large spider, but I'm sorry, I don't remember. But when you get the Queenie kits, just cut the 20 gauge wire into 4 equal segments because all of that wire is intended for one spider. So pretty simple, right? So just cut it into 4 equal segments and then we'll get some very happy, elegant spiders. What do you think? Okay, ladies. So I believe we are done for today. And we have a season ahead of us full of spiders, and as per my usual, I start out always kind of borderline too late, but I'm trying to get better at it. But I still have some fun little spooky things coming up for you. For example, next week, or actually no, let's talk about tomorrow. Let's not talk about next week. I'm just so excited about more spiders. I just want to share. So anyway, tomorrow, Friday, October 4th, if you join me for our shopping event, what you're going to see, this is kind of an interesting shopping event because for the first time ever, I am just doing closeouts. And I have some really fun closeouts for you. Like, of course, I'll have strand assortments. Everybody always wants to know, are you going to have strand assortments? Because whether you know this or not, the strand assortments have been closeouts all along. And that's why they're at a crazy good price. But anyway, we're also going to have some Swarovski closeouts and gemstone pendants closeouts. And if you're looking for some fun cabochons to wrap, I will have a lot of cabochon closeouts, and they're really good. So I hope you join me tomorrow for my closeout shopping event. And as I mentioned, I am going to have more spiders next Thursday because we do still have time before Halloween. So we'll be making spider earrings and perhaps something else. So I hope you join me for this as well. But wait, there's more. And the following Friday, that would be October 11th, on the Eclectica Facebook page, we are going to have a really beautiful trunk show of Baltic amber necklaces, pendants, earrings, and and so much more. So if you love amber, please join me on October 11th. So anyway, a lot of fun things coming up. And of course, if you celebrate Rosh Hashanah, I wish you a beautiful and happy, sweet new year, peaceful year, lovely new year, full of joy, and Shana Tova. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching me. And thank you for your comments and your encouragement. I love it. And join me tomorrow for the closeout video, our first closeout video ever. And I will see you tomorrow morning. In the meantime, have a wonderful and creative evening.